Hey, mate, which is Graybeard Crowfather here. Hope you're all staying safe and staying healthy. Hopefully, you're weathering through the unnatural hot weather that we're having in certain parts of the world, or the unnatural rains or floods. As long as you're staying safe, that's what matters. So tonight, I wanted to do a in-depth video about writing a ritual. Now, you can go online and find pre-made rituals, but I find that they're not as personal to me as writing something myself. Now, in this case, when I'm writing the ritual, I'm writing it for a group setting. However, if you're not in a group and you're solitary, which a good amount of you are, that doesn't mean that you can't adapt these types of rituals to your particular situation. So I'm going to give you some examples of what I do, and that should give you sort of like a base or an outline to create what you need for your particular situation or that particular ritual that you're going to do. I'm going to read off a little bit of my one ritual from Litha from 2019, then my Lunasa from 2019, and then my Maban ritual from last year, 2020. So I start off with the same thing every time opening. I will call the corners and invoke the goddess and the god. Now, in prior videos, I went through that, and just for keeping it brief here, it's where you face the direction of the quarter that you're going to call. These are used every single time that we have something going on, but I will call all hail the watchtower of the east, the element of air. I do summon and call you forth to guard and protect the circle. Be here now. And then usually the circle will repeat after me, be here now. Now, again, like I said, if you're not in a group, that doesn't matter. You can adapt that to whatever suits you. If you're by yourself, you could just call out, hail the watchtower of the east, the element of air. I do summon and call you forth to guard and protect my circle. Be here now. I came up with this a long time ago and have adapted it. So we go through east, south, west, north. Then I'll invoke the goddess and the god. Now, depending on the time of the year, whatever ritual it is, I will put in there for invoking the goddess. We call to the Great Lady to join us in our Litha ritual rite. Gracious goddess, bring us your gifts of love and joy as we conjure the. I'm reading off of the Lunasa one. So harvest time. In the harvest you walk as mother, bringing forth wisdom and knowledge with every step. But we also honor you, the mistress of the moon, who shines down upon our rites, and mother, who is the cradle of all life. Touch our circle as you do our lives. Hail and welcome. Yes, it took quite a bit of time for me to put that information into my own words. Sometimes you may have to borrow a little bit from other resources. There's absolutely nothing wrong with that. If it feels right to you, take it and use it. When next part will be calling the god. We call the great god to join us in our, I'm going to go back to Lunasa again. Lunasa right. Horned one, bring us your power and energy as we welcome the harvest in and celebrate it in all its glory and abundance. Come to us as the horned one who runs wild and free upon the land, and come to us as the Lord of the Sun, whose gifts allow us to sustain life. Hail and welcome. So, those are the exact same process that I do for each and every ritual, calling the quarters and then invoking the goddess and the god. but adapting it to that particular Sabbath that you're celebrating. Now, after that, I move on to another part. Now, this part I actually did borrow from an author because, well, it just worked and it worked great. So going back to Litha, and this is the same thing I will do for all rituals. For Litha, it starts out, the wheel of the year turns on and on, bringing us to and from each season and from and to another. What was will be. All time is here and now inside this sacred space. We pause briefly to watch the wheel turn, and we gather on this blessed day so that we might celebrate this season of whatever the particular Sabbath is. Litha would be midsummer. Lunasa would be Lunasa, the first harvest. Again, this is another part that's in every single ritual that I do. In this moment between time, we come to praise the bountiful Mother Goddess and the benevolent Sun God who rides high above us at the peak of his power. Again, that's referring to Litha. For Lunasa, it would be, in this moment of time, we come to praise the bountiful Goddess and the benevolent God. We wish to give thanks for the bounty of the fertile earth and to feel ourselves a part of the relentlessly turning of wheel of life, death, and rebirth. So, basically, for whatever part of the year, the wheel of the year that you're celebrating, try to adapt your words to whatever particular Sabbath it is that you're having, or the ritual. Again, whether it's by yourself or with, if it's solitary, it doesn't matter. You can use it. If you're not too eloquent with writing certain, passages like that, feel free to copy out of a book. There are no rules or, issues with taking and using other people's words and putting them down and using them for your own personal use. There are no penalties. There's no, you can't do that, blah, blah, blah. You're, stealing someone's. No, you're fine to do that. So feel free to do that. So for each ritual, after doing the quarters, invoking the goddess, and going through that process of explaining what it is, why we're celebrating, then I will actually write something in out of my own personal word of what's going to be going on. For Litha, I put in, today we celebrate and acknowledge the light, for tomorrow that light shall begin to wane. So Litha being the longest day of the year, and then after that we start losing daylight again. I would take my athame and point it towards the sky and say, farewell the waxing year, season of fertility and growth. Farewell the lusty spring and the time of planting. This sacred day is the time of the longest light and shortest dark. After this day the light shall grow shorter and the dark shall grow long. We shall in turn ask for your guidance, O Lord and Lady. Now, for this particular ritual, I had some moon water made up, and I would go to each person, and I would dip my fingers in the moon water, and I would go down to their feet and anoint their feet and say, I bless your feet so that you may walk the ancient pathway. May the goddess and God steer them in the direction of right and light. Then I would anoint their heart and anoint their eyes and anoint their head. Each time stating something to them that has meaning to that particular Sabbath. Then we go through each person, and then we speak of what that particular Sabbath means to us. and have each person around the circle state what and why they want to be celebrating that particular time of the wheel of the year. Again, this is for group setting. However, it could give you ideas of what you're going to want to do. You could celebrate Litha and then place a, specially made flower bouquet that you created on your altar and use that as your gift to the goddess and the god. Usually each Sabbath I come up with some little token for each circle member so that he can take away a part of that particular ritual with them and, just make it like a special occasion. So with for Lunasa, we would all consecrate some bread and some drink, and then, drink and eat it, and then not the cakes and the ale part, but then use that and then offer some to the goddess and the god. Maban, same opening, calling the quarters, invoking the goddess and the god. Again, this part that I have on every single ritual, the wheel of the year turns on and on, bring us to and from in each season and from and to another. What will be is, what was will be. Now, a good thing about that is that the more you use those particular repetitive types, will give you that redundancy, and you'll start to just let it flow from your, mouth every single time. When it comes to rituals, I write them, and then I do actually have the paper right in front of me. And the reason being is that it would just be impossible for me to memorize the entire ritual while speaking to everybody, so I do cheat and I have it. It's like if you were a Christian in a church. The priests, they have their Bible right in front of them, so they're always reading right out of the Bible, and some is ad-libbed and some is not. So the best way to create your own ritual is start off by creating an outline, decide how you want it to flow, decide if you're going to do some kind of a special celebration for that particular ritual, circle-wise if you're in a group, or solitary, meaning that it will have meaning to you. And then go through and put that down on paper, and you can fine-tune it as you go along. I mean, you're not, performing that ritual as you're writing it. You're just getting it prepared for that particular time. So then it comes to closing, and again, for every single ritual, I use the exact same closing every single Sabbath. So again, instead of going east, south, west, north, we start in the north and then go west, south, and east. And basically, hail the watchtower of the north, the element of earth. We thank you for joining us, or you can say, I thank you for joining me and sharing your qualities with us in my right, with love and joy and thanks. We bid you, or I bid you, hail and farewell. And then you just repeat that process until you're back to the east again. Then at that point, you can thank the goddess for joining you in your right and lending love and light, and tell her hail and farewell. Same for the god. I always throw one more line in there that I thought was appropriate for it. After we tell the goddess and god thank you, I always repeat, stay if you can, go if you must. so mote it be. And that gives us the feeling of, the goddess and the god would like to stay there with us, even though the ritual's over, as we move on to our feast. So if you want to incorporate something like that, you're more than welcome to. And I would. So that is basically how I write and run my rituals. Adapt whatever it is that you feel works best for you to your particular situation. Use it. Don't be afraid to use others' words, and just do what feels right. It will work out for you, and the more that you do it, the more adept you'll become at writing the rituals for whatever it is you're going to celebrate. And that goes doubly for spell work. Yes, you can find spells online that may suit your particular needs. I feel that it always adds that extra power and oomph and intent when you can write your own spells. And I've done a couple videos about that in the past, so if you want to look back at those, go ahead and give yourself an idea. Well, that's all I have for tonight. Again, please, everybody, stay safe and stay healthy. I did want to make mention of, for the woman I mentioned the other night about the gift certificate, I have not had a free moment to purchase that. Please, 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 I will get that to you. It's just been a rough couple crazy weeks here, so I will get that out to you. All right. Everybody, have a good evening. Graybeard Crowfather signing off. Blessed be.